Welcome back to another episode of Mafia Family Ties. Del Reed here with my buddy Carl Cortez. Carl, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Del. How's it going?
Fantastic. Better now that we're talking. This is great.
Right?
This is awesome. No, it's always a pleasure to hang out, dude. So let's just jump right into it. So, lifelong Bills fan?
Yes, lifelong Bills fan.
All right. And so tell me a little bit about how the team now that they're good and cool, how does that compare, like, maybe to growing up?
I was 4 for the first Super Bowl. So I went to Parkdale. I grew up in East Aurora, and we had like a rally every year for the Bills for the Super Bowl, which I just assumed was a thing, that schools had a rally for the Super Bowl every year. So it was such a big formative part of childhood. Gathering the family to watch games, and then you almost like see your family get excited in a way. They get rowdy and like excited in a way they don't watching other stuff on TV. So it felt like, well, everyone's excited about this. This is when everyone gets into it. So very formative, positive experience. And then this 20-year thing happened where the Bills weren't so formative. But that's where Bills Mafia came from, right? That's when like everything kind of formed in that way. But I think it's cool to see now when things weren't going well, the fans kind of found their own ground. Obviously, with the Bills Mafia thing, it's just things weren't great on the field, so the fans kind of united. So things got holistic there, and now the team's doing well, and it's like this good side of fanship, and to see success on and off the field is cool. So I feel like it's kind of come full circle.
Yeah, that's a good point, because how they were not good for a long time, and how we kind of all bonded together as fans, and then now it's like almost like Voltron, right?
Yeah. I was thinking Power Rangers.
Power Rangers, all right.
Same idea.
80s kid, 90s kid, makes sense. So you get to a lot of games?
Lately, the last few years, I have. My cousin Rich somehow got us a hookup on tickets, so we have really good seats. We went to playoff game last year, the Ravens game. Chiefs game the year before that. We were at the Red Helmet game with Trubisky.
Oh, yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
The Bisque. So,
Bisque.
So we've been trying to get to more recently. Excited about the new stadium. It's cool.
Yeah. We'll get into that too, for sure.
Yeah.
Tailgating. What's that like for you?
I'm not a menace like a lot of people. I just kind of stand there. So like I've seen the craziness, and like my first game I ever went to was Bills Titans in 2000, that like Revenge at the Ralph game after the Music City Miracle. So that was my first tailgating experience, and I feel like it's still like the base is there, like good food and playing catch, people having fun. I think a lot of the rowdiness might get the cameras, but it's just kind of good vibes and people hanging out. So I've learned to layer. I have a coat. It was the Zamboni driver from the Sabres like 20 years ago. It was his coat. So I always wear Sabres gear to the Bills games just to stay warm. And I'm like, all right, as long as I'm warm, then, we're up and running. So.
You're that guy. Yeah. Sometimes I'll go to a Sabres game, it'll be the opposite. Somebody's wearing an Allen jersey. Like, I mean, I get it, but it's not quite as bad as like wearing like a Steelers jersey to like a Bills Dolphins game or something like that.
I saw a guy with a Jerry Rice jersey at the Week 18 game. I'm like, all right, that's football. Cool.
I get it. Like, I guess like if I'm in that position, somehow I'm getting dragged to 2 other teams playing, I'm probably wearing one of my Bills jerseys.
Yeah, just kind of.
Yeah, or my Bobby Boucher. I mean, that's nice to have that too. Hey, football, right?
Yeah.
You got any favorite foods when you're tailgating? Anything like any staples?
Whatever anyone's cooking that they will offer me, I'm usually in for that.
Yeah, if it's free, it's for me.
Yeah, like we kind of tailgate hop a little bit, and then there's always like a kind person who's like, "Oh, we brought too much food." Like, awesome, I'm here. So,
I've always loved that too. Like just the generosity that kind of flows. It's very communal, right?
Yeah.
All right, so just in terms of the fandom, you talked about how, Bills Mafia kind of became a thing like during the drought and everything, but the fandom in general, how do you think it's changed since you were a kid growing up, going to games as you got older and everything? If I did the math, were you 13 at your first game?
Yes, yeah, right around there.
And then here we are now, having gone through the drought. Now we're in the success years. Have you seen anything change with, Bills fans or Bills Mafia?
Yeah, big time. So like I remember as a kid for the Super Bowl years, everyone just like dressed their kids in Bills gear. So I'd see someone at rec and be like, "Oh, what do you think about Carwell Gardner?" And they'd look at me like, "What are you talking about?" Like my mom bought the shirt. I don't know what. So it was almost like everybody just kind of like wore Bills gear because it was what you did. And then the drought kind of made it where you knew if someone is wearing Bills gear, like they must love the Bills because this is like not the thing right now. But now that everything's successful on the field, I feel like those are still the fans that are around, or the ones who are still into it. So obviously it's more popular, but everyone seems invested in the actual like X's and O's in a way maybe they weren't back in the day. So we can talk about like special teams and like deep cut players, and like everyone seems to know what's going on. Whereas before it was just, you know, wearing stuff to wear it. So
yeah, that's a good point. I wonder how much like social media and 24/7 coverage of sports has kind of changed that now, because, you know, growing up, it was just maybe newspapers and like the 6 o'clock news, maybe a little ESPN.
yeah,
Because there was one ESPN back then, you know, and all the sports had to share one channel.
Yeah.
But now there's as much content as you want, right?
yeah, it's like people are super, like when I was still teaching, students would come in hot with like deep roster, like, oh, we got Frank Gore Jr. on the practice squad. I'm like, yeah, let's talk about that. Like, all right, it's good. Everyone seems way more immersed into it than they used to be. So it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. We are definitely an educated fan base too.
Yeah.
Some of us still land on some really weird takes, but we definitely we all have the data ready. We all interpret it differently.
Yeah.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. You're Southtowns Carl, right?
Yeah.
You're pretty well known as a local artist. You've got a few murals around town. How did that kind of start? All this Buffalo sports artwork that you're doing?
The art kind of started from about 10 years ago. I went to a pro wrestling school in Buffalo called Grapplers Anonymous. And one of my trainers there explained that, like, if you want to get booked, you design merch. If you know how to, you know, create digital art, you can do, you know, ring gear for other wrestlers and like flyers for the companies. So I started kind of working that in a little bit. I had learned a little Photoshop and Illustrator in college. So I got dropped in my head too much. Didn't make it that long in wrestling, but I did make connections from, you know, being around for a little bit and really leaned into the whole art side. There aren't always wrestling shows going on in Buffalo. So in the downtime, I just wanted to, you know, draw. I really like Shepard Fairey, that kind of style of art, very vector based, like that Obama Hope poster. I always thought was cool 20 years ago. So I started drawing Bills players in that style just to kind of learn about Illustrator. And I threw them up on Instagram, and people were kind of into it. So just kind of ran with that for a while and stopped doing the wrestling stuff during COVID because there were no wrestling events. And I was a teacher home for 8 months with COVID. And I'm like, all right, if I can't like make a business out of this, then I'm never going to be able to. So kind of picked up then.
Awesome. Who's the first player that you ever did in that style, the first Bills player?
I want to say Jim Kelly, probably maybe like 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Seemed like an easy first spot to like kind of a formative human being to focus on. I've probably drawn him more than anybody, to be honest. That's like,
I think the first time we actually interacted, I think was you emailing me out of the blue with like a Jim Kelly design that I don't think we ever ended up using, but sorry. But I mean, we've used so much of your work at 26 shirts. We've used so much, but
it had MGK on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was flexing and everything too. Yeah, that's awesome. So I started in wrestling, which I totally forgot. I totally forgot about that. I remember like when we first started talking like years and years ago, like it was all like, this dude's really into wrestling. Okay, cool. I was like, oh, he's like real wrestling.
Not real wrestling, but
well, it felt like it was real. You know what I mean? Like, I don't pay attention to that stuff, but
I was Kung Fu Carl.
Kung Fu Carl.
Yeah,
I love it.
KFC.
Yeah, we won't talk about IP there.
I did the crane kick for my finisher, and I never won a match. So
okay, so you said it's not real, but you said you never won a match. So explain to me that real quick. Just I don't even understand. Like I know WWE is staged.
Yeah.
What was the stuff that you were doing?
It's kind of the same like core concept of like, how do you explain it? All right, so there's shine, cut off, heat, comeback, finish. Every match, babyface gets a shine, gets cut off by the heel gets the heat, babyface fires up, has his last gasp, and then in my case gets pinned. So it's usually the arc of it. But
so how do you get to be the other side? How do you get to be the winner?
I never figured that out. I've absolutely no idea how to win a match. But the joke was all I was trusted to do was do a leg sweep, which is like sweep the leg. So that's how I became Kung Fu Carl. Was like, all right, you can sweep the leg and then get pinned and good to
fantastic.
go.
I love it. Where were the matches? They're all local, I assume, right?
Yeah. So there's actually a gym in Lackawanna called Grapplers Anonymous, and like a lot of guys who've like made it out of Buffalo, that's where they start wrestling. So guys that are in like AEW and a couple other spots is just in a warehouse.
This is fascinating. We won't spend the whole time talking about it, but like that's wild to me.
Yeah. So that's the whole idea of like t-shirts and merch really came from wrestling. That like you see guys selling shirts at shows, and you're like, they're kind of running a little business here. Like this is cool.
That's awesome. You found your niche, and then just kind of evolved over time, and
took the violence out and just focused on the art, and like
I love it.
Good to go.
I love it. I mentioned a moment ago, you have a bunch of murals around town? At least it feels like a bunch. How many are around town?
I want to say like 3 or 4, maybe. Some have come and gone over time, or we've like replaced them. But that's all Rory Allen and Zoom Buffalo. Like 100% them as far as like installing it and having the vision for it.
Yeah.
I think it was a Cole Beasley drawing I did when he came back to the team. I put up a design and Rory reached out and he's like, let's put this on a giant wall. Done. Like, that's awesome. I'm into
You're like,
that.
oh, let me think about it.
Yeah, like your terms are agreeable. So we've done a few of those together. They have this amazing process where they can go, I can have a drawing and they can have it on a wall the same day. Like, it's crazy. They print it out, they install it, they do like a time-lapse video. So we have the one of Cole Beasley that became the Keon Coleman, Josh Allen one. It was Diggs originally, and then we like put a code on it, which is Rory's idea. It's like, it's brilliant to like save that design. So see how long that makes it up. But a couple other ones around town too that it's cool to see it on that scale, because I usually do like stickers and t-shirts. So I think it speaks to collaboration and teamwork. Like, working with you in 26 shirts, so many people who would never have seen my art have seen it because of you. So thanks.
Well, your art was going to find those people anyway. Happy we could be a part of it, but dude, your stuff is awesome. You talked about like being a teacher, going through COVID, deciding like maybe this is how my life is going to go now, the direction you want to change. When did you realize like, oh my gosh, I've made it to the point where I can now do this full time? So
I kind of chipped away for a few years. There was a point, it was December 2020 during COVID. There was a shirt that had, that we were working on with you. It was Josh Allen and, well, a striking resemblance of a man wearing the number 17 and a guy with a 12, and he was passing a torch to him. And I was away at Disney with my wife at the time, and the payment came in for that design. Pretty much paid for the trip. Oh, wow. Yeah, it was a very, very popular design. I mean, December 2020, Josh Allen was, doing amazing and everything. And I'm like, oh, this could be a thing. That's cool. That's cool. I didn't know that. I was not leading you into that. That's awesome. No, it's really cool. Like, I showed it to my wife and she's like, all right, that'll work. So I think that next year I made 26 designs for 26 shirts, which just the way it all kind of lined up. We got to do a story about you eventually, just in terms of like how you've done so much great work for us, and which has resulted in some amazing fundraising for these families and nonprofits that we get to work with. I'd love to. We'll have to figure that out, like what your impact has been on for us at 26 Shirts. That's a conversation for a different day, but we'll have a love fest, man. I appreciate everything you've done for us. It's great having you available. You're awesome. You're awesome. Do great work. Oh, right back at you, Bill. What are your earliest Bills memories? 100% the Super Bowl run, those 4 years. I have a distinct memory of my birthday, September 30th. September 30th, 1990 was the game. The Bills played the Broncos. We scored 3 touchdowns in 77 seconds and had that comeback, which was insane. And then the next year on my birthday, I got a pack of cards, and one of the cards was about the 3 touchdown comeback. And I'm like, oh, all right, this is clearly the most important thing in my life because my birthday's meshed in with it. Like, this is awesome. So the whole Super Bowl run, I remember just like the rallies at an elementary school, and it was like just such a big thing, how excited everyone was. Things in the middle, I think of like 95 when the team, I'm getting in the weeds with like the details of the team. No, let's do it. We got Bryce Pott. We were more of a defensive team. He was player of the year. We had Bruce Smith. I think for like 20 years, the team became defense first. Even though we had Kelly, we had Reed, we had, the core was there. It seemed like everything kind of shifted that way. And I was so immersed from the Super Bowl years, I got real into, I could look at a roster with just the numbers and like know who the players were. I got super into it in the late 90s. So even as the Bills weren't as cool, for me, 98 through 02, just I love that era of football. It's like when it was the best to me, even if it wasn't great for the Bills. That's like, it was still larger than life, and going to see players in real life, like at the games, was just insane. So yeah, no, it's an interesting little window too. Like that's basically the end of the Super Bowl era and the beginning of the drought Super Bowl era. Not so Super Bowl era. I'm just thinking through as like you had like Wade Phillips as the coach, and then you had I think it was Greg Williams was immediately following him. I think. Yeah. Then you had Donahoe, and it was to this day I still call those the Donahoe jerseys. Those Navy ones. I know there's some affinity
for them among some misguided fans.
Yeah, it's I think I call them Bledsoe era, or I like the drought era.
Yeah.
Drought era jersey, because I think it encapsulates the just pervasive misery of what was going on.
Yeah, right. You could watch any highlight of the team wearing those jerseys, and they did not make the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
All right, we talked about this a little bit beforehand. I'm excited to get into it. Favorite player growing up, somebody you will always have an affinity for.
So I've been saying for years, I want to do a long form podcast on this exact topic. My favorite Bills player of all time is Rob Johnson.
Of all time?
Of all time. It's the guy.
You're not allowed to end the sentence there. You have to go on and explain yourself.
I just wanted that uncomfortable silence. I mentioned how my favorite football was like 98 to 02. So that was the window where, I was still just a big fan. As a teenager, I liked West Coast gangster rap. I worked at Hollister. I skateboarded. Got into lifting weights, and our local quarterback was SoCal legend Rob Johnson. Like it was an easy choice. And not to throw any other quarterback under the bus. Oh man, this is pressure because I've wanted to have this conversation for like 20 years with a camera. So Doug Flutie's awesome, right? Like,
yes,
he gets a lot of credit for, 98 and 99 kind of turning the team around. I don't think Doug Flutie gets enough credit for keeping the Bills in Buffalo.
100%.
All the talk of the Toronto Bills in the 2010s, we couldn't sell luxury boxes in 98. And without Flutie Mania, we might not have the Bills. Mm-hmm. That said, I feel like he had a dozen good games in the NFL in his career. Like, I know.
You're like, this is when somebody says, no disrespect, and then they immediately disrespect somebody.
I'm going to compliment sandwich. So we're getting into meat. 98 Flutie was cool. 99 Flutie, like not the same player. I don't know. He was like in his late 30s, which there's nothing wrong with, but touchdowns went down, interceptions went up. Rob had tendonitis in his elbow. Beyond 2000, he was shot. But in 1999, I think he was the better quarterback. I know that sounds crazy. I know. It's wild,
I mean, it's 50% crazy because I think, I don't know if it was WGR. I think it was WGR. They actually had lawn signs that you could put in front of your house that were either Flutie or Johnson.
Decision 2000.
Yeah. And so, I see it both ways that both players had pros and cons. But, I think I still to this day think it's crazy that Rob Johnson actually started that game against Tennessee in the playoffs. But when he left the field, team was ahead.
It's true. Yeah. That was like OG 13 seconds.
13 seconds, thank you.
It's way too soon. And one thing, for the sake of perspective, Rob Johnson, I think his rating in that game was like a 64 or something like that against the Titans. Doug Flutie had a lower rating in 6 games that year.
You came prepared.
I could do 2 hours on this. It's crazy. Yeah.
All right.
So anyways, other than that though. And he has a Super Bowl ring.
I cannot wait. Rob Johnson. Oh, with Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to the stadium. We talked about it a little bit before we jump into the new stadium. How would you describe some of the eras that this stadium has been through that you've personally experienced?
I still think like rich stadium, red end zones, just that vibe, the 90s, 2000 vibe. I've always liked how you see new stadiums pop up around the league that are futuristic, SoFi and all these places that are sleek. I like when stadiums sort of feel like the vibe of the team. I like when uniforms feel like the vibe. Like the Chargers look like a team in LA. The Bills uniforms kind of feel like a rugged team in Buffalo. The stadium just kind of has that vibe. I still think of like is it Batavia Party Crew in the end zone?
Batavia Party Zone.
Yeah. I love those signs in the corners. It just feels like it's not as corporate as a lot of the other stadiums. And I like that, not to jump ahead to the new stadium, but they seem to think about that when they designed the new one to not make it feel too un-Buffalo-esque. But I kind of liked how rugged it was. If it's rainy or if the snow's melting and the water's pouring out of the 100 section, it just feels like you're in Buffalo watching football. Like it's a good vibe.
Which is a good vibe, yeah. But I guess it could be good and bad too. You're talking about like water pouring down. Like, hey, you're in Buffalo. What do you expect? From out of towners. But
the signature game I think of when I think of the Bills was 2008 49ers Bills. We started Trent Edwards, benched him for JP Lossman. Niners score a touchdown the first drive, final score 7-3. It was 40 and rained the entire game. But to me, that's like the core Buffalo game to me. It was like somehow this is fun. I can't explain it. It doesn't make sense, but this is awesome.
Yeah, you certainly cannot explain it. Like, I love going to the games. I try not to miss any of them.
Yeah.
Give me 72 and Sun in September every single time, man. Every single time.
You have season tickets though, right? Like,
yeah.
Man.
So you didn't want to get into the new stadium. We're going to get into the new stadium now.
Yeah.
If you can take one thing from, I have been saying the current Highmark, but now that we're filming this in January, anything from the former Highmark Stadium, if you can take anything from there and put it in the new Highmark Stadium, what are you bringing?
I feel like I'm glad it's open air. But I've sat in the 200s where there's the heated panels over, and that's amazing. If there was somehow a way for everyone to experience that warmth. There was one game I sat under that section. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I could do this every game. Like, this is nice. I think I do like the vibe of, there's no bleachers, I'm sure, in the new stadium, right? That can't be a thing.
Bleachers.
I've kind of like that. When it's warm and you're on the bleachers, it's nice. It's absolutely awful when there's snow and ice on it. But there's just something about, it just makes it all a little more tangible when you're, I don't know, you're constantly, it sounds terrible, but like you're not comfortable. The game's not going well. And then, they make a comeback. Something about that, maybe just because that's the formative. I used to sit in that section a lot. I like we're not a big market, but we're good with it vibe. That's kind of the Bills in general, that like we've owned it. We've built, the whole Bills Mafia thing is built around, this is who we are and we're going to own it and make it our asset instead of wishing we're something we're not. I think the stadium's a good visual for like what the team is and fans have built around it. So
anything that you've heard about the new stadium that you're excited about?
I know no matter where you are in the concession area, you can see the field, the way they've built it. So when you're in line missing the game and you hear the crowd and there's like the delay with the TV, that won't be a thing, that you can be in line and actually see what's going on, which is really cool. So I'm looking forward to actually stepping foot in there. I was kind of hoping there'd be like a banner raising for the first game, but there will not be. So I'm thinking like preseason. I don't know if I can get in for a preseason game. I just want to be in the building for the first time it's a thing. It'd be really cool. So looking forward to that.
At the risk of a humble brag, I actually got to tour it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and you can see the field from. It's a marvel. It's really.
I can't visualize how that actually works, but like,
and I can't really describe it. I just kept walking in this big circle, and I was like, oh, there's still the field. There's still the field. Like, it's just constant. I think it's gonna be really special.
That's cool. Does it have like it still feels Billsy, or is it like?
It will, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still being constructed, so it's a lot of cement, right? Yeah. But I'm excited about the grass field.
Yeah,
personally,
that's big.
We're gonna have some messy jerseys during these games. I love that. I love grass stained jerseys. I love that whole. It's like we're playing football.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I do. Aside from art, I run a sports memorabilia business. And I do a lot of game use jerseys, and it's like forensics. If you can find grass stains, it makes it easy to photo match a jersey to know what game it was played. So it's going to make life a lot easier for that.
All right, great segue. I'm just going to jump right into that. Tell me about this jersey business that you have.
Yeah. So the same time that I started doing art, I was a substitute teacher in East Aurora, and just had work when I could. So I started thrifting in like 2012, 2013, just going to thrift stores. I used to try to find like Hollister and Abercrombie shirts to sell on eBay, like whatever I could find. And it was before thrifting got big, before the second wave of like Bills fans really got big. And there were tons of like 90s Bills gear you just find at Goodwill. And that eventually grew into like vintage jerseys. I was always the kid that I would sit and like wear a jersey every day and draw. So like, shout out to 10-year-old me. I feel like I'm doing all right by him today. But then when COVID hit, I couldn't go to thrift stores anymore. And I started going more on like eBay and trying to find nicer jerseys. And it ramped up into game use stuff. I've gotten pretty good at finding vintage 90s, high-end authentics, even like blank jerseys, and like finding, lettering kits for them, doing like custom designs, that type of stuff. So in addition to art, that was another big thing that let me take a step past teaching and go full-time into online business.
So in addition to like thrifted, reclaimed jerseys, you do custom stuff, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. So I'll get lucky once in a while. I found a bunch of, we'll call them the Donahoe era jerseys, those blank Y2K ones. And I don't know if people it's almost like a badge of honor. If you have one of those jerseys, it means like I was here before it was cool kind of thing. So I've been making these Josh Allen drought era jerseys where it's the old school numbers, number 17. But it's, it's Josh Allen. and they were like fever dream. People hate them or they think it's the coolest thing ever, but they sell in like 10 seconds when I put them up. Like people love them. So just weird stuff you wouldn't necessarily see officially. I think people like anything that's different, and it's like a deep cut of you've got to be from Buffalo to kind of understand, you know, what this is kind of thing.
No, I love it. If you know, you know, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Even like my art name, Southtowns Carl. If you're not from Buffalo, it probably doesn't even make sense. Don't put this on. I live in Amherst, so I'm like Northtowns Carl.
I'm a Northtown elitist. I don't care. It's fine.
All right, no, that's good. I grew up in East Aurora, and I'm like, Northtowns doesn't sound.
You try
good.
to stay true to your roots. I respect it. I respect
it. Maybe I'll like shift south one day, and like I don't want to get a new IG handle, so
I respect that. Hun, why are we moving? Well, I got the Instagram handle. I don't want to change it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite custom jersey that you've done?
Some of the best ones are weird, obscure players, because everyone can go to a store and get like an Allen jersey or that kind of thing. So I'm kind of proud sometimes if I can make one that wouldn't exist otherwise. Like not even Bills necessarily. You know, Brock Lesnar, UFC fighter, WWE guy. I've made some Minnesota Vikings Brock Lesnar jerseys over the years. Or Joe Anawani became Roman Reigns. He was on the practice squad for the Vikings for a few years. So he actually, that's how we found out he had leukemia. He had a blood test done. And they said, like, yeah, you have cancer. You can't be on the team. And he went off to become a pro wrestler as a result. Wow. So some of those jerseys
Naturally.
yeah, of course. That's the next thing you would do is just fall into pro wrestling. Yeah. But some of those jerseys that wouldn't exist otherwise, if I can find a cool blank and maybe just get a good idea, even the non-custom ones, like I get requests for Nathan Peterman jerseys all the time. People are so into those because it's like you're never going to see one unless it's created. Or I have one sitting in my basement actually that like I'm just holding on to because that's, you know, I'm going to retire on that one day.
That's funny.
The Peterman. But people like ones that maybe are just a little bit different. And I think that's, you know, not that people don't love Josh Allen, but like, I don't know why Carwell Gardner keeps popping into my head, but like just one of those deep
35, right? Number 35.
Yeah. The first Sabre I ever met was Curtis Brown. Sometimes I'll make Curtis Brown jerseys. Like, you know, there's a bunch of Hashicks out there, but those players that are like a little more deep cut, those are the ones people are really into.
Has anybody ever asked for, because you do Sabre stuff as well too, artwork and jerseys and everything. Has anybody ever asked you for a Bills player on a Sabres jersey or vice versa?
I've done a few. So I unsurprisingly have a Rob Johnson goat head jersey. But I've made fluty ones too with like the Stanley Cup patch on it. And there was a football card in like 1991 at Jim Kelly. I think he did like a puck drop and he had a Sabres jersey. So I made a Jim Kelly of, you know, the old Sabres style. Those are cool. Anything like mashup, and that kind of funnels into art too. I love the idea of like mashing up different properties, and I don't know how out there a Bills Sabres jersey is, but like, it's just cool to like find that niche group. If you're a Bills fan, you're probably a Sabres fan. That culture has a lot of overlap. So anything that kind of connects things that wouldn't be done officially, I think is kind of a cool angle.
Yeah. I have to imagine there's a bunch of, from you or whomever, Allen 17 Sabres jerseys that are going to show up at a game.
I've seen a few like Buffalo Braves jerseys that are Allen that are kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's transcended as being a football player where anything related to the Bills can kind of, you know, he can tether it to Allen if it's Buffalo based. So it's pretty cool.
Well, before you incriminate yourself with any more Bills takes or regional, Western New York regional residential takes, let's jump into wings. Where's your favorite place to get wings? If you have to pick one, if you have to pick one.
I grew up in East Aurora, so I'm a barbell guy. I know that's like a tourist trap now, but Cajun honey butter barbecue wings from the Barbell, very specifically. That Cajun gives it a little something. Weirdly enough, though, no one talks about this. So Pasquale's is right down the street. They have their own sort of Cajun-y, spicy, sweet. It's like just as good. No one ever talks about it, and it's way easier to get it. So if you get bumped from the Barbell, it's right down the road. It's a really good one. But we recently had wing nuts that was really good, actually, for the first time. It was the game we lost, which wasn't their fault. The wings were the highlight. So
was it the one that just happened?
Yeah. So
Cajun honey butter barbecue wings.
That's the winner. Yeah. I like a round wing because they're easier to dip into the blue cheese.
Yeah.
So, or no. Yes, it's round. Flats, you got to break apart. It's a little too tangible.
So you're more of a drum guy.
I'm a drum guy. That's the
you did a whole shirt for us. Team drums, team flats. Yeah. Come on. A round wing
drum guy.
What is the most wings that you've ever put down?
I would say it's not an impressive number. I would guess maybe in the 10 to 15 range,
All
which
right.
is like a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
But I have a thing. I carb crash if I eat like more than one piece of pizza. One of those people who like doesn't handle carbs well. So I try to lean in. I just learned from my brother-in-law, Bill, if you have chicken wings first and then pizza, you don't carb crash. It's that like glucose spike at the beginning.
Okay.
So I guess I got to go heavier into the wings going forward for my health.
For your
Just think it's important.
Surgeon General's warning.
Yeah.
Make sure you eat chicken wings before pizza.
It's a healthy base.
Yeah, exactly.
Fried chicken arms, and then you're good to go. So
It's fantastic. All right, Carl, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Mafia Family Ties, and let's do some more shirts together, man.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's a pleasure to be here. And I can't thank you enough for letting me be a part of what you guys do. A lot of my art, I like to hide away and kind of do my own thing. So you guys give a lot of meaning and purpose to what artists do in Buffalo. That part of why I'm able to even do what I do is the platform you've provided. So can't thank you enough.
Yeah, well, no, it's just a big love fest, like I said earlier. You do a lot of great work for us, and we're happy to help however we can. So be a part of your story.
Yeah.